What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 227. My name is Brett, aka Enigma911, and today, for the first time in 5 ever, we have a guest, and he hasn't been here in 5 ever. Extra Life was the last time we saw him. We got John back in the podcast. John, what's up?
I think it was like a year ago.
Podcast-wise?
Yeah. No, not podcast-wise.
Extra Life?
Extra Life.
Yeah, we're really close.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. I can't.
Keep an eye out. Yeah, almost a year ago. Jesus Christ.
Shameless plug there.
Who knows?
Helping y'all out.
Who would have thought it happened the same time every year?
Wait, it does?
I mean, yeah.
Oh.
Not date-wise, but
Day-wise.
day-wise, the time frame of the year, a certain weekend.
That you pull 24 hours.
Yeah.
I still don't know how you do that.
You know.
I can barely pull 12 hours at work.
I mean, well, that's different. That's work. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still tiring here. But
It's technically work. You're working.
Yeah, working for the kids. Anyways.
Do it for the kids.
Do it for the kids. If you want to catch this podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma911. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you join in the fun and chaos with us and conversation. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Now, last but not least, any way you can support, like, share, review, whatever it is, may seem small, but does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Nailed it. So, John is back.
Very good.
Thank you, sir. John is back. We're going to be talking about some fun variety of topics today.
Mm-hmm.
John, you brought 2 topics to the table, so do you want to do the sandwich gimmick? Your topic, my topic, your topic?
Sure. Why not?
Right, cool. Well, sir, what is our first topic today? If you can read my shit handwriting. Or
No, I
can.
I can. I'm just wondering which one I want to go with first.
Yeah.
Which one? Is...
Cutthroat or Sunshine Rainbow? No, I'm just kidding. That's not. This is why I hate Brett. Wait, well.
The reasons I hate Brett.
I haven't been on the stream in a year.
I would say let's go with the computer one, because I think that one. I think the James Gunn one will have a lot more.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
You're good.
That one I think will have a lot more in-depth conversation.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so my question and my topic that I wanted to talk about, I've been looking on just like on Google and like the Google alerts. I have like WWE stuff. I have what is it?
Sorry, I had to do it.
He must have done something so bad to lose that. Different day for a different topic.
He didn't lose the IC title. He just won it.
No, the other guy.
Braun Breaker?
Yeah.
No, he's going to spear the shit out of Jey Uso. It's going to be like, yay, Jey won. And then Braun's going to kill him. We're like, no. Bloodline.
I just hope
November. War Games. We're on a separate topic. I'm so sorry.
I just personally hope that they don't make him the next Jeff Hardy.
Breaker?
No.
Oh, Oos?
Yeah, Oos.
No.
I hope not.
We're under new management. Yeah. We're getting sidetracked. I
sorry.
love talking wrestling, but that's not what we're here for.
It's ADHD, man. It's gotten worse.
We're good.
My wife has it, so I
people are like,
bad.
Brett, you talk wrestling all the fucking time. We want you to talk about something else. Come on,
please. So yes, I've noticed that with video games and everything, they're talking about the next gen consoles. And they're talking about how, they're coming soon. They're on they're on the road to release, and I'm just like, I just got my Xbox X, and it was only like 2, maybe 3 years after they put it out for sale. So I'm just like, I'm not even getting enough time to actually enjoy my Xbox or like a PlayStation 5. Like I haven't even gotten a PlayStation 5 because it's so ungodly expensive. But like I want one. But the problem is now it's like, if I have to drop $500, $600 every single time a console comes out, wouldn't it just be better to get a PC? So, like, my question is PC the master race? Because I'm starting to see that it is, because of how much consoles are starting to be. And, I can get all of the video games that I play on Windows or Xbox on Windows.
Right.
So, why not? Why not just get actually, it's different. The Game Pass for Xbox is
different.
different.
Game Pass for PC is different than Game Pass
I didn't know
for
that.
Xbox.
And
Yeah.
that's another thing. It's actually cheaper on the PC. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. But those are kind of some things that I've been thinking about and wondering. Since one, you own a PC, and two, obviously, is it more cost efficient? Because I do know that some motherboards and some, I don't even know if I'm using the right terminology, but like some of the hardware is as much as a console or two consoles.
Sure.
So, is it really worth it?
Right. That's a lot of good questions, and yeah, it's definitely been a discussion piece I've heard going around with. So one thing I want to correct you on. Remember when we used to have the little laptop perfection?
Yeah.
So they're not talking next gen consoles quite yet.
Okay.
They have the only news in terms of Xbox side and PlayStation side that I've heard of next gen consoles is apparently Sony and AMD, I believe, just hooked up in the bed and are like, hey, we're going to make the PlayStation 6 chip or whatever the fuck is going inside it.
Interesting.
That's the only thing I've heard there. However, recently, Sony has announced the PlayStation 5 Pro, and there's a lot of tizzy about the price of that.
Oh yeah.
So we're not next gen just yet. This is like that mid gen.
We're at the cusp. They're starting to bring out like the better, like, you know, there's always that moment where it's just like, oh well, this one has more space.
Sure.
This one has more power,
which is usually halfway through a generation. Granted, we're really looking at, you know, now this is where it gets difficult because I'm not super savvy on like the numbers of stuff. So for example, the PlayStation 5 to PlayStation 4 era, that gap was 10 years.
Yeah.
So around the 5-year mark, the PlayStation 4 Pro was announced.
Yep.
PS3, PS4, this is where I get shaky. I don't remember the gap of time there.
I don't either.
I want to say it was similar 10 years. It could have been shorter. It could have been longer. I don't know.
So I got my first PlayStation 3 when I was in high school.
Sure.
And it was the big blocky one. So it was like first generation.
The backwards compatible one.
Yeah. So I think that one was like 2000. I think it was my sophomore year. And you're a year behind me, right?
Yeah, I graduated 2011.
Yeah, so, yeah, it was about...
So 2008?
2008-ish.
Okay.
Time frame, 2009 maybe.
Sure.
No, 2008. Yeah, you were right.
Okay.
So, from then to... I think I got mine in 2014.
Was your...
PS4, I think.
Okay, well, PlayStation... See, PS5 launched during the dark times.
Oh,
2019, 2020. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
And that's why they didn't have enough. That's right.
Yes, yeah, we had the whole shortages.
Even if you had the money, you couldn't buy it. Same with Switches.
Yeah. So in terms of next gen, the only news I've heard is the chip. Switches is this weird one because they do whatever the fuck they want.
Well, it's
like,
Nintendo.
There's been rumors of a Switch 2 for like 5 years now. So
I also saw something along those lines that Switch or Nintendo was making the next generation of their line, and just like, it's Nintendo. Nintendo can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
they may not outsell a PlayStation or an Xbox, but like they make good money still.
I don't know. Switches are pretty popular.
Well, I mean, back in the 2020 for sure.
Oh, they're still selling like hotcakes. But
I mean, I want one. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they're nice.
I probably would buy a Switch before I bought a PlayStation. There's only like
cheaper.
There's only 2 or 3 games like I want to play on PlayStation.
R.I.P. We need to talk. No, I'm just kidding. That's fair. That's fair. So in terms of next gen, the only cusp I would say is Nintendo. But granted, like I said, the Switch 2 has been rumored for 5 years. So who even knows?
And I feel like Nintendo's always like behind that because the way that their games are made is not like a first-person shooter.
Oh, it's different. Yeah,
it's completely different, and they don't need the certain processors the way that like a Modern Warfare needs.
Yeah, they're focused on other games or other stuff. They don't need those. Yeah. So with that, I don't know. In terms of a price frame, so I talked about the Pro, the PlayStation 5 Pro. Everybody was getting tizzy with that. So it's $700 for the console.
Ooh.
That is without a disc drive.
That's without a disc?
It's without a disc drive. You can buy a disc drive, which is another thing people are getting mad at.
Which is like, what, 150?
No, for a disc drive, I think it's 50 to 80. Can't remember. It's still, still dumb. So the only selling point of the PlayStation Pro
5 Pro, excuse me, compared to a base PS5 was the research that they gathered was a lot of players are playing, when you play games, you get 2 output options. You get fidelity, which is your 30 frames per second, looks gorgeous, everything's maxed up graphically.
Right.
Then you have performance mode, which is a steady 60, but everything is scaled back graphics.
Yeah, so the like if you're playing Assassin's Creed, the lights and the way that
it may not reflect as much, and ray tracing and all the
that's what
terminology. Yeah.
The ray tracing.
Yeah. So in their research, they realized that 75% of players are playing performance mode over fidelity mode.
Really?
Yeah, a lot. That surprised a lot of people. I was like, hey, that's me.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, okay. So their goal is to mesh these two. So the graphics, or rather the system, can hold up and
60
keep
frames per second. Yeah.
A steadier frame rate for these higher fidelity graphics like the devs are making. So what they've done is they focused on the big 3, like the Miami Heat big 3. They focused on ray tracing. They focused on like individual pixel bullshit that will help the graphics, whatever.
Right.
That's the big selling point. Is graphically this thing's gonna look like much better,
and it can run at 60.
And it can run either 60 or closer to 60.
So at that point, it is a PC.
I mean, all consoles are a PC technically. Yeah.
Now they are, because like the gen before this, I would argue they weren't even close processing speed wise or processing power wise. Now, absolutely, like the Xbox X Series and the PlayStation 5, 100% have the same processing as a computer.
So with that, there's a lot of backlash at the $700 point. Excuse me. With the internet, we know it's a cesspool of everybody. Everybody's now brought in the question you brought in today: is it better to get just a PC?
Right.
This is where I'm like, hold up now.
Right.
Now, yeah, I have a PC. Do I PC game on it?
A
little bit. So, granted, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. Right. I am not PC Master Race Guru here that knows how to switch these out, switch that, upgrade drivers. No, I don't know how to do that. Yes, that console is expensive. And expensive for no disk drive. I understand we're going digital. I don't want to go all digital. I like options. I like owning my games. Granted, you can make the argument you're still not owning your games because it's just the key on the disc. I don't care. If I want to play something old, I'd like a disc drive to put it in.
Exactly.
So anyways, $700. Yes, that is...
It's a pretty penny.
Insane. I thought $500 for the PS5 was insane.
And
that's a decent chunk,
Yeah.
So
I think the PlayStation 4 was $400.
I can't remember. I didn't get that at launch. I was late to the party, so
I think I got it at $400, but I did it incrementally. Like,
gotcha.
Here's my PlayStation. I'm trading it in.
Sure.
And I've already put like $200 down. So.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people do that as they trade up. I don't know why. It's just like, I'm gonna keep the old thing.
I wanted to do it, but they didn't have anything. So, and now like GameStop doesn't do that anymore.
Oh, they don't.
Not to that extent.
Gotcha.
Like you bring in your stuff, like I'll give you $100. I'm like,
sure, it doesn't go as far as you would like it to.
Yeah,
sure.
So like games don't help you out anymore for your trade-in value. Like you get like $10.
Sure. Gotcha.
So it's like I stopped doing that and I went all digital because it's just like, what's the point of having a physical copy if I can't get anything out of it?
Sure. Yeah. So with the price point being $700, I get it. That is a lot to ask, and especially being an upgrade where PlayStation 5 specifically, I know I'm talking a lot PlayStation centric. I don't have the latest Xbox generation. There hasn't been a lot of exclusives that reached out to me of like, you need an Xbox. There's some stuff coming out. I'm like, hey, that looks really good. I think it's Song of Midnight. Can't remember. I am so sorry. Check out a past podcast. I talked about it. But there's some stuff that they're putting out now. I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. But PlayStation's been my ecosystem of things that I want to play. So that's just why I'm speaking about it.
100%. You are definitely PlayStation fanboy, and I'm an Xbox fanboy.
Yeah.
Like I did make a switch, and I don't know when that was. Like I think it was. My roommate had an Xbox, and he's like, you can play whatever game you want. And I started playing the game, and I never looked back. So,
yeah, I was back and forth. I started PS2 era. That was my first console. Then went 360 because obviously Halo was the shit that everybody was playing.
Oh, yeah, Halo.
And then, I kind of gravitated back with PS4 era. But where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, so 700 is a lot. Totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're thinking on the PC side of things, now granted, once again, little PC player here, me. What do I play majority? Indies that are not on consoles for another year, if they even come out.
Right.
So I'm not playing anything super extensive or whatever.
Right.
I got my PC for one reason only. Streaming.
Yeah.
And that was 2000. For all the bells and whistles, make it nice. Shout out Fortnite competition where I did ass, but still got enough for it. So that's a hefty price. 700. Not as bad as
comparatively.
Absolutely. Now I could get what everybody is saying. Is it more worth getting? Is it more worthwhile getting the PC?
Right.
And I can't answer that question accurately because I don't know what the process is like of upgrading your graphics card, updating your drivers. How strenuous is that, or stressful, or annoying rather, when I just want to play a game, put it into the thing, boom, it works. The convenience, that's the key word here, convenience of the consoles.
You don't have to worry about
it. You don't have to worry about it. Yes, there are updates. Yes, there are day one patches. Yes, there's all these things. However, I turn on my system, it says, hey, you have an update, and it downloads said update.
Yeah.
Could that be stressful? Like, I just came home from work, I just want to play, blah,
right.
It has an update. Yes, of course. There are ways to work around it. You can put your PlayStation in rest mode, auto updates. You could put your Xbox into some setting that has it update in the background type thing. So there are workarounds. Nintendo, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Nintendo's updates work.
Yeah.
I've never seen them.
But that's the convenience factor that I think for console-specific players, we like. I like just turning it on. I can play a game. If it needs to update, I don't have to switch out pieces of my console. I don't need to be a technician. I don't need to get the big, tiny glasses on,
Yeah.
PC, while I understand why people love it so much, because you can up your frame rate, you can up your graphics to the super max, you can change all these settings.
Especially if you're into the nitty gritty of it, absolutely.
Sure. And if that's your thing, awesome. I am happy for you. With all the frame rate discussion, I may just be a dum-dum. I can't really tell. Obviously, I can tell if something goes under 30 seconds.
Yeah, I can't.
30 frames, excuse me, because then it's like, oh, it's stuttery. 30 to 60,
yeah,
I'm done. Past 60, nope.
Yeah.
Whenever they do those side by sides, like, this is the graphics on this. This is the graphics on, like,
what?
Huh?
I can't tell very much either. There are the thing that people have told me, it is like it's the monitor. Your monitor, like, because if your computer is running at that, but you have a crappy monitor, you're not going to see it because your monitor has to pick it up.
Same as your television for your consoles.
Exactly. So I get what you're saying. Like the thought of like, oh, it's a strenuous process. Oh, I just want to play the game. Oh, like why do I have to do this? It's actually not as strenuous as you think. Because like, when I lived with Dan, the one who built his computer, it was literally just like, oh, okay, done. Like that's it. Or it's click, 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 click. Okay, I'm done. Like but the thing is he was doing constant maintenance all the time. But one, he enjoys it, and two, like that's one thing he would go to school for is computer technology, and that's what he's doing kind of. So, it's not as hard as you would think it is. It's literally just clicking something, pulling it out, putting something new in. Especially if you have it all built in. If you are not confident in what you're doing, there's obviously tutorials, there's YouTube. I mean, there are people that literally teach you how to do everything. So I would argue that it's much easier than waiting for an update, because 9 times out of 10 you don't have to wait for the update. You don't have to wait to put the thing in. It's just the game will run or it won't run, and you'll know. For computers, like, oh well, I just need to get more RAM. Okay, no problem. RAM's not the hardest thing to put in. It's like this little cartridge, put it in. At least to my understanding. Again, I'm not a PC guy. I would like to be, but from what everyone that I've talked to, even outside of when I lived with Dan, I've met a lot of people. They're just like, yeah, I can play all my games on PC. Like, yes, there's cross-platform games now, so like I can play Gears of War with somebody who's playing it on their PC, and you know, if I can just play it on my PC and connect my controller to my PC, why not just play it on the PC? Yes, the hefty price tag for the computer is $2,000-ish.
Yeah, I mean, granted, obviously it's different based on what you're going for, a gaming laptop. Or
yeah, I mean,
whatever.
I would say if you want a really good laptop and you are a PC nerd, $2,500 is about the median of what you want to spend on a brand new computer, and you want to part it out. You don't want to just go get a pre-made. There are a lot of people that are just like, oh, pre-mades are just as good. Well, you can't actually go in because you void your warranty, and if you void your warranty and something bad happens, you can't get a new computer. So if you part it out and you put it together yourself, like, it's much easier because you know where everything is. You've done the cable management. You can go in and upgrade it, and you don't have to worry about a warranty because you didn't get a warranty. But so you get that $2,000. You have that PC until the end of its life, until you cannot upgrade it anymore.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I have to give it a new motherboard. My friend who lives in Pittsburgh, who was my DM, because of life circumstances, I can't play with them anymore. He had, I think he went down to Florida to do graphic design and video game design, and they helped him put together a computer. He's had that computer since the early 2000s, and he just now is at the point of, I can't upgrade it anymore. I need something new.
Cool.
So, like, that to me is like 20 years, almost close to 20 years. So, like, having a console for 10 years and then having to shell out another $500-$600 versus, oh, you know, parting out a computer here and there, like, in the long run, I think it's cheaper because you only have to spend a certain amount every so often to upgrade it. Like RAM, I don't know how expensive RAM is, but I do know that it's like close to $100 if you want good RAM, depending on how many you want. But if like the big ticket items are like a couple thousand, obviously. So like your processing system, that's going to be a $1,000 or something. But everything else is like at most $300.
Yeah, I guess it depends. I mean, if you really start thinking of how many upgrades you are doing, that will add up.
Yeah.
So if I have a console for 10 years at $500 compared to the initial hypothetical 2,000 of the PC,
Yeah.
boop, 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 upgrade for those 20 years. Don't get me wrong. Like, okay, let's say the hypothetical PS5 went 10 years for $500.
Yeah.
I get the PS5 Pro. I'm not for $700. That's only 13 compared to the initial 2, and then the upgrades for the 20 years. But granted, once again, I don't know how much I'm upgrading. Like you said, we don't know the prices.
Right.
That would just be my thing of like, it's obviously a bigger initial price, and how often do I need to go in, tweak it, etc.
And it's really all dependent on like what you use it for. So like for streaming, obviously, like you want to have something that is gonna be. I don't even know because I'm so removed from the world that I don't know what I'm going to need. Like if I want something of like, I want to play Call of Duty and I want to stream,
Sure.
I need a hefty computer. Like my one friend who's in the UFC, he also streams and he also plays video games. Mike Davis, go watch him sometime. He's pretty cool on the UFC.
Nice.
But he does it every now and then. But like I see that he streams and I see that he's playing Call of Duty. Like he's got to have a hefty computer. And
especially if you're doing it on the same machine. Yeah.
And I see his rig and his computer rig and everything set up is like really, really nice. So it's got to be a pretty penny.
Sure.
But if you're just looking to do a casual gaming kind of type thing, like for you, I think yours is perfect. I think you just need to add as you play games.
Right, if I was even going to do that, but yes,
exactly. Like I bet you haven't spent anything more.
I haven't touched. I've cleaned it, and that's it.
Exactly. And then like I bet there will be someday in the future, maybe 5 years down the road, that there's going to be a game that you really want to play, and you want to play it on your PC, but it's like, hey, you need more RAM.
Sure.
Oh, well, that's an easy fix.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's only like maybe $300, like egregiously.
Sure.
Like we're just gonna say out of nowhere, like with the economy the way it's going, or you know, and inflation, whatever. Like $300 for more RAM that you need. Like that's not that much compared to a $500-$600 drop to get a new console. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can have that same RAM for the next like 10 years.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's just my thought process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting for sure. Yeah, everything's going up, and I think the thing with consoles too, it's interesting because how much more can we push it in terms of graphically? I guess it's not just consoles, but even PCs. Like, how much farther can graphics go?
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the next facet that you're gonna sell me? Like, is it just more storage? Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, storage is nice, and obviously these games are getting bigger.
These gamers, man.
These games are getting bigger in terms of file size, just
Right.
because of obviously the graphics they're
Right.
pulling behind it, or the size of the games.
I mean, the last Call of Duty was what? Almost 500 gigs?
I remember there was some crazy number, but I think
Yeah.
they somehow spanned it or whittled it down. Like, it's still huge.
It's
I haven't had a Call of Duty in years, so I don't know how much.
The last one that I played was free, and now
Sure.
they're putting Black Ops free on the Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only reason I'm getting it.
Because Activision got bought.
And I'm okay with it.
Sure. Yeah, I think for, like, example, Mortal Kombat 1, which I still have on my PlayStation 5.
The new Chaos came out. Did you get it?
Yeah, we streamed it on Tuesday.
So good.
Uh,
Well, just Mortal Kombat.
Oh yes, the game itself, the DLC story.
It
was
more.
okay.
It
Yeah,
could have had more.
$50 for that.
The $50
for the DLC. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
it's
not-
Combat Pack 2 and the story expansion. But guess what, John? You can only get Combat Pack 2 if you buy the story.
That's stupid.
Yeah. So I mean, whatever. That different time.
Should have been like $20-$30. Not
so
50.
Base game, I think, is 100 gigs for Mortal Kombat 1. So I mean,
That's about a normal game.
they're getting bigger.
Yeah, that's about a normal size game now.
Depending on what you got. Like, obviously, NetherRealm, graphically, they do well, especially with their character models and stuff. So it depends. I just got Star Wars Outlaws. I don't know how big that's going to be.
I heard that was good, and like nowadays, because things are so expensive, like I always watch reviews, but I heard it's good.
Oh, I've heard mixed things, but for me, I was like, I've seen enough. I want to try it.
Yeah.
But like size wise, I don't know how that is because it is obviously the open world
First
stuff.
time.
Yeah. So like games like that, yes, they're understandably going to be bigger, but trying to think of something like obviously indie games are still in the
30s,
1
20s.
gig to 20 gig range, depending on what they are.
I mean, Skyrim, the anniversary one that they remade, that was like 30-something gigs.
Right. Well, that was also originally on Xbox 360 era. We couldn't hold that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting of, like, what's going to be the next selling point, I guess, or what's going to be, like, make those new consoles like, oh, my God, you have to get this.
Versus just getting a PC.
Versus, well, getting just the PC, but also, like, what is going to be that pushing element? Because obviously PS5 was, it's another graphics overhaul. And we've had that for generations.
Or even bigger, let's go down to like casual exclusives. You cannot get them on PC, no matter what you can do. But now you can.
Yeah, which this was the second part we talked about before the podcast leading into or discussing this topic was like exclusives. You mentioned how PlayStation is starting to put stuff on PC.
Yeah, like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War Ragnarok now, Helldivers was like partnered like from the start, and then PlayStation's like, oh yeah, well, we want you to have a PlayStation Network, and then all that debacle happened.
Sure, well, debacle happened.
So people who bought it on streams, they basically said you can't play it unless you have a PlayStation Network.
Oh, that's just Sony.
Yeah.
You need a login, yes, but...
And they were just like, not happening.
Sure.
So that debacle.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, exclusives is a weird discussion point right now, too, because it's not going away entirely, obviously, but obviously
Slowly.
those lines are going away.
Yeah.
to talk about wrestling again. Similar to wrestling in the Forbidden Door, man. Okay, sorry.
Forbidden Door!
But it seems like those walls are coming down because, yes, Sony is putting stuff on PC, which I think is great.
Yeah.
You're getting a whole new audience who is PC Master Race or whatever. They're
Right.
like, oh, this is here, and it is, I think, hopefully cheaper. And being like, oh, yeah, I'm going to jump into it.
I'm not sure.
No,
I haven't looked at prices to compare because, like, I've just been excited that, like, wow, Sony gatekeeps a lot of their things, especially like Spider-Man. Like, if we were to talk about other things, like Spider-Man, something they've gatekeeped, and like now they're letting go some of their big name titles to PC, and it's like, that's really interesting. Why are you doing that?
I'm curious if it's like, well, granted, the titles they have put out so far are older titles, so it could just be like, hey, let's get more money from this, and get new players.
It's a great marketing scheme. Like, love it, 100%. So I would do it if I was the CEO. It's like, hey, well, let's release this game. There's probably some PC players that don't have a PlayStation, and like, I can ramp up the graphics to make it look even more pretty.
Sure.
So like, totally get it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a move to be like, not go away from your PC forever, but potentially like, oh, this was a lot of fun. I want to see what else PlayStation has to offer.
Right.
Maybe I'll get a PlayStation 5 or whatever. But granted, that is asking a lot, and that is a big gamble. But look at Xbox. Xbox released exclusives on PlayStation as well.
Really?
Yes, this past year, nothing huge. Don't get me wrong. It's
I
not like a Halo.
kind of heard something along those lines.
It's not like a Halo or a Gears yet.
Yet.
But they did take some of their exclusives and also launch them on PS5. I believe it was 5 titles. Hi-Fi Rush was one of those.
Oh.
Grounded was one of those. Ooh, I had another one and I lost it.
Is it the one? Where it's kind of like Rick and Morty, where you get that alien gun?
High on Life?
Yeah.
I think that was a timed exclusive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That they just had. But these are like Xbox Studio titles getting put on PlayStation.
Nothing from Bethesda anymore.
Actually, that's up in the air. Because, like,
Bethesda's no longer doing exclusive?
Well, no. So Xbox does own Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. Everything seems to be like when they bought them and they bought Activision, they're like, oh, these are our babies now, right? They're going to be our exclusives. It seems like they're kind of backtracking a little bit on that of like, maybe we'll still put it out on this console.
Well,
like,
they can make more money because they're making royalties
right,
at
which,
that point.
I mean, duh, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So, like, certain things, Starfield, we also talked about before podcast.
Yeah.
That had a PlayStation version being worked on, that got the axe. So that's only here.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, that's only on Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah. But I feel like they might have talked about something maybe still coming out in terms of Sony side. Obviously, there's no Fallout in work right now. Elder Scrolls is in that weird limbo of I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I think Elder Scrolls is going to come out, and unfortunately there is a high chance it's going to be next gen, and that is just my pessimistic thought on that.
Like, you mean PS6, Xbox X2 or whatever?
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's my pessimistic side coming out.
Oh God.
I am optimistic, but when it comes to Skyrim or Elder Scrolls, I've given up hope.
We saw the sky, and that was it.
Yep.
But I feel like they're kind of, it's hit or miss on what titles might just be Xbox or might reach over. Granted, I'm not bringing a lot of info to the table, but I feel like I heard that was a talking point.
You're not wrong. I've heard that there has been whispers about that. So, but also again, I don't know what those titles are. I haven't done any research into it just because for the sheer fact of, I have a wife and she says I can't buy a PlayStation.
Okay. So I can't know where things are going.
No, it's mainly for the fact that it's just I'm not interested.
Oh, sure. That's fair.
But I love my wife, just in case she watches this. No, I do love my wife. But yeah, I have so many things I need to think about now. Bringing somebody into my life. I mean, it's only been like 2 years, going on 3. Like, I have other things I have to worry about.
Sure.
So, like, thinking about like a game that I don't have or can't have, I just don't think about it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Like, I think the last PlayStation game that I enjoyed and loved and played was Valhalla. God of War Valhalla. That was so.
Oh, you mean Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep,
well, the version Valhalla part of it, because that was so good.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Ragnarok.
There's God of War
Valhalla.
2018, and then there's God of War Ragnarok was the sequel. But yeah,
Sorry,
no,
yes.
you're good. You're good.
That
I was
one.
just like, because there was Valhalla, but that was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I'm like,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
you're good.
You're right.
right.
I haven't beaten that yet. I'm very close to beating
They're
it,
big
though.
games.
Yeah, but yeah, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla was. I feel like I've become like how you've become a battle royale player. Like,
Yeah.
because I hate battle
No,
royales.
that's fair.
I've known you to
Dabble.
more dabble,
Yeah.
but lean more towards the wanting to play those. I don't even want to dabble sometimes. But I think for me, like if there's a new roguelite, I'll play it until I die. Like
Nice.
I love roguelites. I actually just recently bought it was like under $10. What was it? I can't remember the name of it, but it is a roguelike for like the Aztec gods, and if you're in the dark, you take more damage, and if you light something up, you don't take as much damage. Something about the gods, the dark, the blood of the gods, or something like that.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
And you go into 3 different categories. You either go red, green, or blue, and you go to the different Aztec or South American gods. And it's really fun. And I'm one little tick away from beating it, but like Dead Cells was a really good one. Hades, oh, I can't wait for Hades 2.
I'm about to ask, like, did you play Hades? Are you talking about that? But
Yes,
no,
that's a roguelike. It's just like when I first played it and died, I was like, oh no, and then I started over. I'm like, oh, this is interesting, and I've fallen in love with roguelites because you find builds, and when you get the builds and when they synchronize and you get the duos, it's just like, it's so cool. And you just become super uber powerful. But yeah, like I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do next with consoles.
Sure.
Or if I'm gonna go PC. I just don't know.
You got time, like you said. You're not worried about those games you can't play. So yeah, just coast on that Series X, you know.
Trying.
Yeah. Hey, that's fine.
I want to get Cyberpunk really bad
Okay.
because I want Keanu Reeves in my life.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, it's not Game Pass. If
It's like
Okay.
it was like 30% off a little while ago.
want to hear a pro tip,
Yeah.
now I don't know how Xbox does it, so this may just be a Sony pro tip, and I'm so sorry for leading you down this path.
No, it's all good.
So during the launch or the early stages of the PlayStation 5 era,
Yeah.
they were but they were making a lot of like director's cuts or like
Yeah,
high-def
yeah.
cuts
Yeah.
from PlayStation 4 titles to PS5.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk was one of those. You could get a PlayStation 5 version, wrapped up, all that jazz, of Cyberpunk or these other titles.
Right.
Or if you owned a PS4 version, for a $10 upgrade, you could get the next gen console version. So what did this guy do with Cyberpunk?
I do remember them doing that for PlayStation. I don't know if they did that for Xbox.
I don't know about Xbox, but yeah.
So like for Xbox, it's very specific. If you are playing on Xbox, you will see an X/S next to it. So I think they just basically said, we're just going to roll the dice and make people rebuy them.
Sure. Which we can do. Which Sony does as well. They'll have like a PlayStation 4 version or a PlayStation 5 version.
Right.
And people who love trophies are like, fuck yeah, I can get 2 sets of trophies.
Why
for this.
not?
Yeah, and I'm sure you could do that with achievements as well. But yeah, that's what I did with Cyberpunk, is I found a cheap copy at a local mom and pop shop. And I was like, oh, why $10 and go for the PlayStation 5 version? So I don't know how it works on Xbox, but
Right.
for some research.
Yeah. Because also just like I had a thought. I had a really good thought. I'm trying to remember it. Oh, yeah, because like back in the day when PlayStation 3 switched over to PlayStation 4, I mean, we didn't have that.
Right.
But the game was very different. Like PlayStation 3 game, like I remember very specifically 2K yeah, Basketball 2K from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, completely different. Yeah. I had the same game, and just it looked different, it played different, you did different things, like, so yeah. I'm wondering how different the games are from Xbox One, PlayStation 4 to the other.
That upgrade. I think not much, like in terms of like graphics, obviously it's better, and how it runs, it's better. But
story and gameplay.
I don't think it's like how it used to be where it was so different console to console of what version you were getting. I think it's So I mean, if you didn't want to or could not upgrade, I don't think you're gonna miss out. I'm like, oh no, I didn't get this. Keanu's not even in the PS4 version, the Xbox One version.
Keanu. He will be a staple forever.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my topic, and I'm sticking to it.
Nice. Yeah, let us know in the comments down below how wrong we got everything.
And not only that, tell us how we should part a computer.
Please.
And thank you. Because I need help.
Yeah, we'll help John out with that. Moving on to topic 2. I guess sticking with games, but not really the consoles around them. I wanted to pick John's brain about Baldur's Gate 3. So we talked about this a while ago on the podcast with Turn-Based TJ. Oh boy, a few episodes now. He had played the crap out of it. I just started dipping my toes into it. And John, being the big D&D guy, I wanted to see, what his thoughts and feelings were about Baldur's Gate 3. So John, to start, is Baldur's Gate 3 your first Baldur's Gate?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Cool. How was your experience jumping into Baldur's Gate 3?
One, being a dungeon master and knowing how Dungeons and Dragons works was a huge help. How a turn works, how certain actions versus bonus actions, how movement works. Like it flowed literally just like the actual Dungeons and Dragons game, just in a video game format. So I was very happy about that. I was very excited to dive into that. Since it is a very narrative heavy game, replayability for me was hard because I'm playing the same story. But the crazy thing is there are thousands, and I mean thousands of different outcomes. Like the one thing that I did in my first playthrough, I cannot replicate the ending because it all depends on who you romance. It all depends on who you talk to. It all depends on who leaves. So like in my first gameplay, I lost 3 companions because one of them died, and I didn't meet the quest for the second one, and because the one of them died, I couldn't get to the third one. So I just had the normal party that you get from Act 1, and I missed all the other people. So knowing that, I'm not going to do that again. So I'm not going to have that same outcome.
Sure.
And there have been like certain players that I've watched who have done all bad plays, who have done all good plays, who've made good decisions, bad decisions. I've watched people how you like can optimize like your best run. So like watching all of those things, it's just like there's absolutely no way you can play this game the same twice. So that has given me like a resurgence of wanting to play again and seeing how optimal I can play. Because right now I'm playing a monk, and I'm trying to make it like the most power building game ever, and just being like super stat wise, how can I make this guy amazing? So that's fun because if you know where the stuff is, it just you just feel powerful. So that was my experience with all of that. I love how you can romance anybody. That was pretty cool that you could go after that. Story-wise, they made it very versatile, so they don't pigeonhole you. So that was really, really cool. The other thing that they do is there's a situation in front of you, and there are so many different ways that you can go about it. So like in Skyrim, there's like 4 or 5 different things you can do with an NPC, and you can go in those 5 or 4 different directions. One major NPC, you have like 100 different things you can do. So like you can either make them your friend, or you can make them not your friend, or you can kill them, or you can steal from them, or it's just there's the possibilities are endless, and like there are glitches that you can figure out, and how like, oh well, I can just, as long as I don't go to this area of the map, this person will still be here, and I can just keep buying these potions over and over again, or stealing them from her if I'm good enough. But narratively, it's such a good game. And like, if you're a person that is like, I'm gonna go talk to this cow, and the cow turns out to be something crazy, like I didn't expect this. So like, there are always those unexpected moments that are just really cool. And like, one run you don't have speak with animals. The second run you do. You just go talk to all the animals. They all have dialogue. Like, it's so cool, and it's a lot of fun, and it makes me want to play D&D. So for me, that's been my experience with it. And like, I was a little upset that I could only go to level 12, because I'm the type of guy who always wants to go to the max level and be godlike. But you know, that Larian, the developer, basically said there is no way we can bring people to level 20 and make it equate, because they have literally taken things from the book and made the characters off of that. Like, almost everything verbatim is from the book, from 5e. So it's been a really awesome, smooth transition from playing D&D to playing Baldur's Gate for me. And it's fun to play, because like, it makes you think. I play on custom mainly for the fact of like, it is really hard. It is not easy. Like, it is probably one of the hardest games I've ever played. And it is challenging. And not only is it challenging, it is rewarding. But it's also like, I just want to kill somebody, because I can't go back. Save scumming is a thing. And like, if you play honor mode, you only get a few. So it's like, you gotta use them wisely.
Sure. So you feel Larian did a good job of translating what the 5e and D&D editions were to
100%.
make them, yeah,
100%. Like, they hit it right on they hit the nail on the head. Like, they listened to the community. They like, you would have to be a D&D player to know how to make them marry correctly and to be a good game. So I've not played Baldur's Gate 1 or 2. I've seen them, and I've seen like how they play, so they're very old games. So I don't know how they correlate to older versions of D&D.
Sure.
But this one was a very, very good adaptation.
Do you think there was anything in the game that you didn't like how it ran? Obviously, you mentioned the level 20 stuff, but was there anything else that stood out? Like, this could be better, or I didn't really jive with it?
You know, no. Okay. I think, I mean, obviously they didn't make a perfect game. You know, no, there is no perfect game. A perfect game is a game that you play till the day you die. So, but I could see myself playing this game multiple times. But when it comes to like things gameplay wise, I think they did a really, really, really good job of AI, how monsters work. The monsters are smarter than you, unless you put them on easy. Like, then they're just dumb. But like, if you play on like normal, like, they're hard. They're not easy. Like, they have certain magic that others don't. Like, I remember fighting these at level 1, or no, sorry, level 2, which is right after the first tutorial level. I fight these skeletons, and they're like level 1s, level 2s. They're easy to kill. They're like cannon fodder. They have silence, and like, that's a pretty big spell to have at level 1, because it takes away a lot of your capabilities. Like, if you have Gale the wizard, that takes away almost all of his arsenal. It also takes away Shadowheart's capabilities. Like, she can't cast any of her fire spells, or her Sacred Flame. So you have to rely on any of your physical damage dealers to go kill that one that's casted that. So it just makes you think. It makes you strategize. And I like that. But it's also a little hard.
Sure. As you were going through, were you playing single player or did you play any of the co-op?
So all of my friends are PC Master Racers. So I couldn't because there's no cross-platform.
Sure.
And I've been waiting for it because I want to play with people. The only time I've ever played with somebody is split screen, and that was annoying. Okay. So I have primarily just been playing by myself. But I would love to play with different people because I've heard the experience is different and it's fun. So like, I would suggest if you haven't played it, play it by yourself. Learn the story, get to know the story, have fun with it. Because if Brett and I were to play together, I could go up to an NPC and Brett doesn't have to watch what I'm doing. He can just go and do his own thing. And if he accidentally does that, he misses the scene.
Sure.
And there's nothing he could do to get back into the scene. So at that point, it's if you haven't played it by yourself, play it by yourself, then play it with friends. Because, obviously there's scenes that, you're not going to get playing by yourself. But, it's worthwhile to play by yourself and then start another one. So, but yeah, I'd love to play with people. That would be so much fun. That would be so cool.
How many times have you played through it?
I am on my second run. I am playing a monk. First one I played was a full paladin. I played one of my characters that I played in the past, Noxus, but I didn't want to do the 3 levels into paladin and then go into warlock. I just wanted him to be a paladin because I feel like I should have made him a paladin from the start. I mean, I liked what I made him, but so he was just a paladin. Now I'm making a monk, way of the open hand, and then I started another one. I'm making something called a Soradin, which is a sorcerer and paladin, which is said to be really diabolically powerful. So I can't wait to see how that plays out. But like, it doesn't really turn on, if you will, until like 5th level. So
gotcha.
Which is quite a while.
Sure. Yeah. Did you have a favorite ally or party mate? Like, for example, I liked Gale's story. From what I played of it, he was just as annoying as shit that I had to keep recharging him like a battery, or else he was gonna blow up.
After a while, that stops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just goes, "This isn't working anymore." It's like, finally, you're stealing all my stuff. I would say. So Halcyon was one that I never got to play with, so I don't know anything about him.
Okay.
And so this playthrough, I'm very intently, because I know where I went wrong.
Sure.
My friend told me, he's like, do you want a spoiler? I'm like, yes, please. I've already beaten it. How do I keep him? And he told me what I had to do. So I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So I wanna get to know him. And then there's I can't remember if she's a ranger or a fighter. Jiraiya or something like that. She's in the second act.
Oh, okay. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. These are like second act characters that you can get. And then the and if you don't kill her, which I accidentally did, you can get another person in the third act. But you have to go find him.
Sure.
And the only way you can go find him is if you have her in your party. Okay. If you don't have her, you don't get to go find him. And then there's another character who I've never chosen, so to get her, I have to do an evil run.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about doing a, what's it called? Dark Urges, and just going straight evil, because everyone's like, oh, you have to play the Dark Urges. And I'm like, I don't really want to fight against dark urges and try and be good. Like if I'm gonna do it, I'm going to do full evil. Unfortunately, I've seen one thing and it's like, oh, but I'm gonna lose a party member. Oh well, I'm full commit. But I would say probably Karlach. With what I've played, I don't like the endings that they choose for you with her.
Okay.
Because I chose to romance Karlach. Not my very.
A lot of people did.
Not my very, very first. Like my very, very first was Shadowheart because she was right there, and I didn't know Karlach existed. And and then I met Karlach, and I'm like, oh, oh, okay. So Karlach probably would be my favorite companion. I like Will, but I haven't spent enough time with him in the game. I like that he's just justice.
Yep.
He's justice. If you say, like, if you do one wrong thing bad-wise, he's like, you're dead to me. Like, he just takes it so personal. Same with Karlach. Like, the only person, like, I feel like there's no gray NPC. They're all either on one side or the other. Like Astarion, Lae'zel, like you have to be a jerk for them to approve of you.
I tried being that gray area for a while,
but you just can't.
I did okay, and I'm going to tell you the story of why I quit Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh no,
because we've never talked about it. So first off, I didn't realize there were that many comrades. I thought it was like, oh, I'm almost done with getting Karlach. I knew Astarion was somewhere. Because obviously he's everywhere in terms of imagery, but
he's literally like one of the first people.
Well, I must have ran right past him.
You did. You can. You can. And yeah.
But yeah, that's cool that there's more and more people you can recruit.
Oh,
that's
there's so many, and they actually in the new patch they added a new person.
Oh, neat.
And like, I think I just found her, but she wasn't a playable person yet.
Sure.
And they're like hinting at this is a playable character now, and now the new patch is like we're going to make her a playable character. Neat. So, but dude, there's so many.
That's cool. So yeah, I was trying to play Keeper of the Peace here. Like, all right, everybody calm the fuck down.
I want everyone to like me. It's okay.
And I was doing pretty good, I would say. Like, I got Lae'zel to chill the fuck out.
You can.
We were pretty friendly, and like I loved her because she just whooped ass wherever we went. She was my big, meaty orc lady that could beat the shit out of people. So I was like, all right. So you mentioned thousands upon thousands of things that you can do. I absolutely love that. You can have the freedom. I've heard a common example. This is early Act 1, so I'm not going to say this.
There's not too many spoilers in Act 1.
Sure.
It's fine.
So there's a big orc encampment.
Oh, yeah.
And there's multiple ways you can handle it. You can go in guns blazing. You can go in chat and be like, hey, whatever. And I've heard you can poison them because they're all partying, they're drinking.
Oh, that's right. I've heard about that one.
You can poison the alcohol, wipe them all out. I'm like, oh, that's great.
How do I do that? From
a minimal D&D experienced person, I was like, that's awesome. You let the players have their choice.
Yeah.
Lots of freedom. So, John, we're talking about character relationships, right?
Yeah.
So, if you don't know, obviously the party members sometimes have different alliances or allegiances, or they don't like each other. So, Lae'zel, as I talked about, and Shadowheart, as you talked about, they got beef. At least from what I've seen.
I think I know which one.
However many hours we're talking about. So, when you rest at night, you go to a camp.
I know exactly where you're
going. You go to a camp, you talk with everybody, whatever, and then you're going to rest. Well, I went to camp at some point, and Shadowheart and Lae'zel are yelling at each other. And I'm like, all right, everybody calm the fuck down. And I got the piece. And I was like, let's sleep on this, all right? You sleep. Then you wake up, and Shadowheart's over Lae'zel, dagger throat. And I'm like, what the fuck? So
what are you doing?
So I'm like, well, I'm going to intervene. I'm going to get you off.
Smart.
Leads to a fight with Shadowheart. Now me, I'm like, oh shit, it's on. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. So Shadowheart's against the rest of the party. I'm stressed.
Oh, like it's an actual
It's an actual
like
fight.
Turn to turn.
It's an actual turn to turn fight. Oh, John doesn't know about this.
No, I didn't know about this.
Okay. So it's an actual turn-to-turn combat fight.
Yeah.
And I'm stressed. Good. The game is making you feel emotions. Whatever, you know? And I'm like,
supposed to do.
yes. So I'm fighting her, and I'm like, I don't want to lose Shadowheart because it's still early in the grand scheme of things.
It's still like, Act 1's pretty early.
Yeah. So I'm like, I still like you. It's not like, oh, get the fuck away from me. So I'm like, I am going to purposely end this fight by not killing you. I'm going to knock you out.
Okay. So
and make you pass out so you're still here. You're still conscious with us. You're just taking a nap for the rest of the night.
Right.
I'm like, we accomplished that. Knock her out. Yes!
Fight's over.
Everybody go to sleep. I wake up the next morning.
She's gone.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I went through all this work to not kill her on purpose. And this is the thing you don't let me do, is be just and good. You're just like, nah.
Well, so the fact is like, it wasn't the fact that you knocked her out, it was the fact that you sided with Lae'zel.
Sure.
And that was, so there are ways to lose your party. She's not the only one.
No.
You can lose Lae'zel, you can lose Astarion, you can lose Will. And if you're not careful, it's literally when Karlach joins the party.
Sure.
And if you don't talk well and you don't have a good charisma, he could just walk away. And like, you might not ever get him.
Sure. And that just pissed me off so much, John. For a game that has all these avenues and choices, the fact that I can choose, I'm going to actively not hurt you because I want to still be friends. I want to help you get this thing out of your brain.
Yep.
Help you with whatever you're smuggling in your the pouches. And then they're like, nah. I'm like, fuck this.
So the thing that I also love is that they gave the NPCs free will.
Sure.
And that I was like, that's it. They came at this like a DM, like your actions have consequences. And I remember one of my D&D groups falling apart because one of my players did not want consequences to his actions, and he played a warlock, which that's the heaviest one about your consequences, because there might be a time where you don't agree with your patron, and your patron's like, I want you to do this, I don't want to do that. All right, there's consequences to your actions. I told you to do something, I give you your power, I take it away. Like, I'm allowed to do that. Like, that's part of what the class is. And if you don't like that, we can have you play a different one. No, I just want to play the way I want to play. Like, well, I'm sorry, that's just not how it works. Like, I don't mean to be a jerk. And then it basically got to the point it was just like, I just don't want to play anymore. And then another person's like, yeah, I don't want to play anymore. And then there was only 2 left, and they're like, well, they don't want to play, we don't want to play. It's like, okay, great. But I love that if you want, like, I've kept everybody except for Lae'zel. So the thing that you're talking about, I was in that same point. I hate Lae'zel. She is a whiny.
She is a piece of work. Don't get me wrong.
She's so whiny.
I only liked her because she kicked ass, and I needed that.
Well, the thing is I can make anybody else do her job.
Yeah.
And so once I figured that out, I was like, I don't need you.
Sure.
I don't care about you. The only time I need you is if I'm going to the creche, because then I can get in, no problem.
Sure.
But yeah, let's Shadowheart kill her.
Yeah.
Like, that was my first playthrough. I was like, yeah, kill the bitch. I don't need her. I don't want her. I don't care.
Yeah.
She's making problems for us.
Like, I liked all the characters, and I think that's why I just was mad, because I wanted to keep them all around. Even though they're all their different personalities, I wanted to still try and, like I said, hey-ho, we're eventually all cool together.
So the only people that have that interaction are those 2. There are, like, and Will and Karlach are another one, but that one is not as big as a beef as those 2. Like, I don't know. Maybe they might go to blows. I don't know.
Who knows?
Because I've never let it get that far, and I've never gotten to that point. I've always been able to diffuse it, and it's always gone, well, this sucks for Will. Oh, well.
Sure. So, like, whatever I just said, I do not, Larian and what they've done with Baldur's Gate 3, it is still a phenomenal game. It was just, that was just my, and I was streaming it too, like, you could probably go back, but I was just like, no,
Fuck,
that was my
done.
point of like, I'm good, and like, I thought about going back, and I do want to go back eventually.
You should go back. It's a great game.
It's just like, I was like,
so
thinking of once again all the possibilities you could do. Like you said, talk to a cow, and they have a quest and all this, and then I try and do the right thing, and it doesn't work.
So my suggestion to you, and this is what has always been a suggestion for every character that you make on Baldur's Gate 3, have a high charisma. The higher the charisma, the easier the game will be.
Well, sure. Yeah.
So first run I had Paladin. Their second stat is charisma. Then I made a warlock, which I'm kind of just messing around with, but like not really taking super serious. But my monk, then I'm actually like, okay, we're gonna go, and I'm gonna be very efficient about this. He's got a +1, and there was. Oh, it was with there's a hag. You meet a hag.
Oh yeah,
and
she's a nice lady.
Yeah, I'm trying not to spoil too much for you that you don't know, and that you can.
I just got to Karlak, and she recently just joined the party, so that's where she was. I met the hag.
Okay.
I think I got to a point and stopped with her quest, but
good, because you shouldn't fight her unless you're level 5. I will say that. She is hard.
Yeah,
but when you fight her, there is an opportunity if you do enough damage in the first round. This is kind of a spoiler. I'm going to give it to you though, because
I'll forget it.
Yeah. She will beg for her life and give you something in return. And you can, and I was trying to do something very, very specific because I wanted to kill her and I wanted to do a glitch, but I still wanted the 2 things that I wanted to get from her. And I couldn't pass the DC for persuading her or intimidating her because it was disadvantaged because I was poisoned. And I had such a low score, and the person that would normally give me guidance, I had to keep off on the side because she was the one who was going to kill her. So it just got to a point where I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just take the 1." But I know what happens with the person at the end, and like that's gonna bite me in the ass. I already know it. In Act 3, I know it's coming. I'm just waiting for it, but. You should go back and play, and I would even suggest, like, do you have Withers, or do you not know who Withers is?
I'm sure. Get a description of them?
She's a zombie.
Then no. I don't think so.
Okay, so when you go...
Wait. He was at the camp? Is he the guy? Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, yeah.
He looks like a zombie.
Familiar.
He looks like an undead zombie.
Yeah. I woke him up, and he's chilling at the camp.
So you can change you can respec with him. You can get underlings. I got a bard from him for the first time, but they're basically like, it's just having Withers with you. Withers just talks in their voice. It's kind of creepy. It's weird. But you can respec, and you can not only respec yourself, you can respec anyone. So like, since you lost Shadowheart, you still have access to have a cleric. You just have to change somebody who you're not using. Yeah. Which I thought was amazing, and that's why I love it. Because, like, I don't want Will to be a warlock. I want him to be a cleric. Okay, I'll make him a cleric. He's still his story, because you haven't gotten far enough to know what his story is. No. And it's pretty big. But,
yeah, turn-based TJ, Will is one of his favorite characters.
Yeah. So... I would, because like if you have a high enough charisma, you can get through any of that bull crap, and everybody stays with you. It's the Act 2 and 3 people that you might miss, because you just either don't have them or you don't know how to keep them. Because like I had Halson join my party, but I never could play as him. He was always green, not blue. So it's like, well, how do I get him? And then like it got to a point where he's like, yeah, I guess this didn't happen, so I'm gonna leave. I'm like, wait, no! And I didn't want to go back and do it because I had already beaten like Act 1's boss, so it's like, I don't want to go back and do this. So, again, I would wait, do you have it for console or?
Yeah, PlayStation 5.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you had it for Xbox, I'd play it with you.
Sorry, no.
But, yeah, go back and play it, even if you have to start over.
Yeah, I would definitely start over. And like, I know you're talking about the charisma thing, and I think this is kind of like similar to Fallout. Like if you have, is it also charisma?
Yeah, there's a charisma base.
Yeah, like how like you can lie and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think like once again, where I gave up. That's part of the experience. I think it was also just me streaming, potentially it, just like if I was playing on my own, I don't know if that would have punched me in the face as hard as it did, perhaps. So like I understand that charisma thing, but I think that's part of the story and the journey playing these types of games.
Oh yeah, it's like
you don't want to just be like,
I tried so hard,
cakewalk, you know? Yeah,
it's like I tried so hard,
right,
and I got so far, but in the end. Didn't even matter.
Didn't matter. I knocked her out in the gap.
Well, I mean, at that point, it's just kind of like, let's think about it. If somebody knocked me out, would I want to stay there?
Well, no, but like,
it's a game.
Calm down.
It's a game.
We need to figure out what you're smuggling and why I'm keeping your secret from everyone else.
Oh, that thing?
No, I know it's something important, but
yeah, it just magically appears in your pocket.
Well, oh well.
It's super important to the plot.
Sure.
And if she stole it, obviously.
Yes.
So if she dies or is gone and just walks away, you have to have it. Like it's not a thing. Like if she's not part of your party, you still need to actually have it.
Gotcha.
And the game makes you have it. There's no way for you to get rid of it. Like I've tried. I was like, I wonder. I was like, oh shit, I can't get rid of this. So, yeah, totally. You should go back and play it. And if you really want to try and keep everybody, there is a way to do it. You just have to have a high charisma.
It was like I said. It's just because me playing D&D, I enjoyed the crap out of it when we were playing. I'm not that good at role playing, so I'm just like, I don't know, I'm generic good guy. Let's all go, guys.
Yeah. The game kind of makes you role play. You got to think about like what you say and what you do because like I'm trying to think. So like it's not like where it's like Fallout 4. It's like, oh, I want to say this, and then it's not at all like
what you were trying to say. Yeah.
It goes in line with what you're saying. So it's not like you're like, that's not what I wanted to say. Why would you say that? No, but it is a very, if I pick the wrong thing, I might not get something. Sure. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. So like with Volvo, because you meet Volvo in there, and there's an interaction with him, and at the end of it, you get an eyeball that allows you to see invisible things. And if you didn't do the thing, and you're just like, no, this seems kind of dangerous and stupid. Why would anybody think to do this? Like, any smart person, and I really mean this, any smart person would stop. But me, I was stupid, and I was like, fuck it. Keep going. And when it got to the end, it's like, here you go. And then I read, like, what the thing did. I was like, this is, like, the best thing ever. I can see invisible things. I don't care if I lost an eye. So, yeah. It's all just really thinking carefully, like, what will this get me? And like, now after beating the game, I go in and say, YouTube, how do I do this?
Sure.
Oh, okay, that's how I get it. Perfect. But yeah, you should definitely go play it. I think you'd like it a lot, especially since you don't have to do the role play.
Sure. Yeah, I had a great time with it for the however many hours we did stream it. But yeah, just a matter of like, oh yeah, it's a big game. All right, let's sit down. And like you mentioned, time.
Oh yeah,
finding the time.
I mean, like I think I was playing it one day, and I played it for like almost 8 straight hours.
It's easy to do.
And I hadn't made any progress, but I made a lot of progress.
Right.
So, and my wife Rachel comes in, and she's like, "You're still at this part?" I'm like, "Yeah." What have you been doing? And I showed her everything. She's just like, oh my gosh, like I would be so frustrated. Like I would feel like I had accomplished nothing. I was like,
sure,
but I feel like I accomplished everything. She's like, no, I can't do it. Like she plays Overcooked with me. She loves Overcooked, and she never played video games, and I introduced her to Stardew Valley.
Oh fuck yeah, dude!
So she was kind of pseudo living with me at this point, and I was still working at Global, and I'm like, all right, I have to go to bed. I'll see you in the morning, or just make sure you get some sleep. She's like, okay, and she puts on my headphones to play the game, and she's sitting there playing the game, and then I fall asleep. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work. I turn and I look, and she's still playing the game, and I'm like, how long have you been playing? She's like, I never stopped. I was like, you're gonna go to bed, right? She's like,
no.
Oopsies. But like, she loves that game, and like, even after beating it, like, she still played it. So like, the only reason she doesn't play it is because of time. Like, now being a teacher, like, that takes up all of her time.
Yeah, that's tough to just pop in and pop out like other games. Like, you could do it, but it takes a lot of what is the word? I guess self-control. Just
no, it really is, because like, after a day, you're just like, okay, I got this,
right,
and this I can do.
Lines
and it's like, it's hard to put down.
Yeah.
Like, I even told her tonight, I was like, I think we're going to Brett's house. I think Kate will be there. I'm sure you can hang out with her. And she's like, no, I have a lot of stuff I have to do for school.
That's fair. Yeah.
I was like, hey, proud of you for doing that. So, if she didn't, she probably would have came and been like, oh, I'll hop on.
Yeah, anytime.
But yeah, like, you should totally just jump right back in, start fresh.
Taking a sidebar here, you mentioned Overcooked. Do you guys want another game very similar to Overcooked?
Yeah.
Have you heard of Moving Out?
I've seen glimpses of it, and I'm like, this gives me like Overcooked vibes.
Yeah, you're a little moving company. And
Yeah,
you're moving furniture.
I figured that's what it was.
So there's two of them similar to Overcooked, but they're very fun.
Nice.
A little frustrating, but they're fun. Kate and I have played them together.
Yeah, the Overcooked has gotten to a point where I'm just like, I have to practice, otherwise I'm going to be
some of those levels
frustrated and just can't. And I think when Rachel and we got to a point where we're like, all right, if we can do 100 points smoothly, then we can play the level.
Sure.
But she's just like, I just want to play the level. I'm like, I don't.
There's some of them where the timer doesn't start, and what Kate and I would do would just be like, okay, the timer hasn't started yet. Let's figure out our game plan. Like, get in whatever groove we're going to do. Not deliver anything.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you send that first plate out, timers.
Yeah. And there are just some where you're just like, this is stupid.
Yeah. You're like, oh boy.
You fall in the water every 5 seconds. You're just like, I hate this game. This is the dumbest game in the world. But then she's played Gang Beasts. She likes Gang Beasts. She likes all of like the party games that are just like very super easy and simple. Like, there's not a lot of complexity. But then her first game that she ever beat on her own was Hogwarts Legacy.
Nice.
Like, she beat that, and now she's like, then she's just like, well, I wanna play a shooter. I'm like, okay. And I downloaded the Master Chief Edition, and she beat 1, 2, and she's halfway through 3.
Cool.
I was like, this is the hottest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, you're actually, like...
Never said that about me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, when you're not a girl.
I'm teasing.
But it was like, she's not great. Like, I would bring her here if we were to play, like, a big party Halo. She probably wouldn't hold her own, but she'd have fun.
Yeah, just out there chaos.
Yeah. Just chaos.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, it's very, like, she doesn't know how to make her thumbs do what they are supposed to do.
It takes time. But
she is turning into a gamer when she has time. Yeah. Which is awesome.
Cool. Very nice. Baldur's Gate 3. Nice. Thank you, John. Moving on to topic 3. John, what is your second topic?
So my second topic was... I noticed that James Gunn was starting to make big moves on his cinematic universe for the DC. And my question is, cinematic DC versus cinematic Marvel. Marvel has taken quite a dip in the last couple years after Infinity Wars. And they've had hits, but they've also had some miss. And... there have been times where I've watched movies, I'm like, why did they waste money on this? Like, I think this is stupid. This is the dumbest movie ever. And then there's been some that they've come out with, I'm like, they finally get it. They're going in the right direction, and then it's just a vicious cycle. And I feel like the multiverse cycle has not been very good. So I'm wondering, with James Gunn's DC, because I think Blue Beetle is in the cinematic universe.
I think I remember hearing that.
I think both him and the lead actor said, "Yes, I'm in there."
Okay.
So I could be wrong, but I feel like I've heard or read something where James Gunn's like, "Yes, he is in the cinematic universe."
Okay.
And I've heard Nate Fillion is going to be Guy Gardner,
yep.
which I'm excited about because I love Nate Fillion. And I'm just wondering who is going to be the next. I think the next Superman's been announced.
They have their Superman cast, yeah.
And I've also been seeing that Jensen Ackland or whatever from Supernatural, Dean, has been, who knows if it's true or not, been casted as Batman. But yeah, he's the voice of Batman in the animated, but is he going to actually be Batman, or is it going to be Alan Rickman, who plays Reacher? If you've watched him from the past, Blue Mountain State, Thad. So I'm just wondering, is James Gunn gonna do what Disney did early with Marvel and make a whole new cinematic universe, and it finally reached the pinnacle of what it should have been years ago?
That is a very interesting question. I think this might be a revisit for us on the podcast in terms of talking about it. I think I remember talking about the new reboot and stuff like that, and to be honest, it was so long ago, or I just wiped it from my brain. I do not remember what I said there, so maybe this is different.
Well, I mean, now it's kind of we're much more closer to it, because now he's actually getting people to sign on, like big name actors and actresses. So it's, back then it was kind of just like, oh, what do you think he'll do? Now it's kind of like, we can kind of start putting pieces together because we know the actors and actresses. I'm not 100% sure on who all the actresses and actors are, but the two that I do know, they're fairly well known now. Like Jolo is from Cobra Kai, and his stock is just rising because
was that Beetle.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, his name is Jolo.
Cool.
And I personally loved it. I thought it was a great movie.
So, to be honest, and this is where my opinion may lack, I haven't watched a DC movie in quite some time. I didn't watch Aquaman 2. I did not watch Blue Beetle. I have watched, and granted this is where it gets a little gray because they're kind of their own thing, did watch Joker. Did watch The Batman.
That was really good.
Yes, The Batman was great. Long, but great.
It was very good.
Joker I enjoyed. I have that weird, like, what's the morbid curiosity for Joker 2. I'm like, this looks bad, but I like the first one.
Yeah,
I think I'll go see
it. I liked the premise of the first one, but I didn't like it.
Oh, no, okay, that's bad.
I liked the premise of it.
Yeah.
It was a good premise.
So my opinion on the DC movies is interesting, because there's not a lot of want right there to see those types of things, and I don't know if it's just my more leaning towards the Marvel side, obviously with their successes as you talked about, and the pop culture there, obviously, being a fan of the 90s cartoons and Marvel versus Capcom and stuff like that, like those were characters I connected with more. But granted, I've loved like the Injustice series from NetherRealm. Absolutely love those. And the Batman movies from our childhood throughout have all been good. Or pretty good.
Some have been misses, but most of them are good.
I like the cheesy ones. Batman Forever, still one of my favorites, even though it's cheesy as hell. So it's a weird thing with Gunn. I have faith that Gunn is going to do a good job. You mentioned once again before podcasts, like Guardians of the Galaxy. Right. Like, obviously he did a great job with that. Characters we had no idea about, unless you were super hardcore in terms of comics.
Did he do all three?
He did all three,
Okay. Yeah. And all three were just great. So,
Yeah, I mean, 2, while good, I thought it was a little bit of a repeat of the first one in terms of the basic story elements, but it was still good. And then 3 was fantastic, and Kate will never watch that movie because of reasons. But it was very good. So like, obviously he has the track record of taking, not to say Superman and these other characters, at least in the big Justice League scenario, are like nobodies like the Guardians were.
Right.
But you can take these cast of characters like, I don't fucking know, what's Superman's Daily Planet
Persona?
No, the reporter that he's got with him, his like good friend.
Oh,
he's not a superhero. Obviously.
Something Stewart.
Is this? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But like, you could take
Jimmy.
Thank you. You could take these secondary, tertiary characters. I think James Gunn can do a decent job with these characters. Not that Jimmy Olsen ever went to be a superhero, to my knowledge.
So actually, Jimmy Olsen be in what was it in the CW universe with Kara, Supergirl. I think he became was it Guardian?
Oh.
So he kind of became a superhero without powers.
Well, then besides the main characters, like I think he could take these characters who don't have a lot of backing behind them or general knowledge or fandom behind them, and he could do good stuff with them.
Yeah.
And he's good. Obviously, did good stories with the Guardians, so he can probably craft some good stories with our main Justice League members.
Right.
Now, in terms of your question of like, can they do what Marvel did? It's interesting because there's a lot of factors. The superhero fatigue could be one, and that's a question of like, has Marvel failed, succeeded? Is that a reason?
Could it be we don't like it anymore because we've had enough of it?
Right, and I certainly reached that point. But then again, I've gone and watched all of them. I haven't watched all of the shows. Like, I'm missing Echo. I know Agatha all along just started recently. X-Men 97 I loved, but I'm in this weird dumb thing, John, where I'll start something. I'm like, I love it, and then I never go back to it.
100%. I've been there. I've done that. I still kind of do that with certain things. But there are the one shows that I'm like super loyal to.
Sure.
But I get that 100%.
Okay. So, like, I've been hit or miss on the secondary products that Marvel's put out. But in terms of movies, I've seen
almost all of them.
All of them from 4 and 5's phases.
Right.
Pretty sure. Yes. And we've done our reviews and talked about those on the podcast as well. So look at the backlog. So where was I going at this point? Oh, so can they do what Marvel did? There's multiple factors. The superhero fatigue is a hill to climb.
Yeah, it is.
And then what we saw with the Snyderverse, they obviously tried to play catch up. Let's throw them all together quickly and not do what Marvel did of solo film, Avengers moment. And they go back,
Right.
It seems from the little information I know of Gunn's plan is it would be solo film.
So following the same trajectory, which is not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. I'm scared. Not scared. I don't know if it works. But we've already seen what Snyder did with the rushing of it.
That didn't work.
And it didn't work. Now, granted, hindsight, looking back, I didn't care for Superman Returns. Granted, washed over my head until the finale of it.
Right.
Did you see that movie?
It was Henry Cavill's first one?
Yeah, with Zod.
I loved Henry Cavill.
Oh, no, Superman. I loved him. So, you saw the movie, though.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so, sorry. It washed over me everything that happened in that movie until the end where he's like, ah! And just snaps his neck. And I'm like, what?
Well, yeah. Because I think, and the good thing is when they follow comics, I like it. And that was a comic moment.
Sure. No, to me, that was just my only memorable thing from it. So I didn't care for Superman Returns. Then you got... What else? What the fuck was in the Snyderverse? Aquaman I enjoyed.
I liked the first one. The second one, I did watch the second one. The second one was a little iffy.
Sure.
It was good, though.
Okay.
But it was kind of iffy. I watched Blue Beetle. I loved Blue Beetle. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, I love George Lopez. He was the comic relief. So,
Okay.
But he actually had a bigger part than most people would think he had.
Sure. So I was talking about that Snyder run.
Yeah.
So like Superman Returns, personally, I didn't care for. Aquaman, I don't think was next. I think it was Batman versus Superman.
I think so.
There was
No, Wonder Woman was one of those, right?
Wonder Woman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was great.
That was after Batman versus.
It was
Superman,
after.
I think so. Who knows?
It might have been. I think you're right because they introduced them both, and then we learned about Wonder Woman, I think, and then it was the Justice League.
Yeah. So Batman vs Superman, I think I liked parts of it. Wonder Woman, I thought was great.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Gal did fantastic with that.
Yeah, so good.
Then there was Justice League. Now, Justice League, I know, gets a lot of shit because they tried to do too much at one point. I agree. However, I will say in terms of a moment,
it was good.
And putting all those people together,
It was really good.
Minus Cyborg, I thought he was a little lacking. Fantastic.
I think they could have done. I think they should have given a better actor the role.
No, I was fine with the actor, but that's fair.
I didn't connect with the actor. Not saying he was a bad actor.
Sure.
Just didn't connect with him. I loved that. I wish we would have gotten more of a story from him. Like, not just he's now Cyborg.
Sure.
Make him Cyborg.
Now, one day I did decide I'm going to torture myself.
Did you watch the Snyderverse?
I did watch the Snyder Cut.
I did too.
What the fuck was I thinking? God, there was, I appreciated that they went more in depth with stuff. But also at the same time, I did not appreciate that they went more in depth with stuff. I'm like,
It is not like Lord of the Rings Extended.
Which is a waste of time, in my opinion. Hot take.
I
I didn't think there was anything in the extended cuts of Lord of the Rings that added anything. Is your phone ringing?
I think
Is
so.
my phone ringing?
Yeah, it's my phone.
Okay. No worries.
'Tis the wife.
Oh, we'll answer it.
Nah, it's fine.
What do you mean, no, it's fine? I can edit things out.
Let's
We're
calls
not
back.
lying, brother.
If she calls back. If she calls back.
Oh, my God.
I told her 9:00, so that's probably why she's calling. But if she calls back, I'll answer.
Anyways,
The Snyderverse.
Snyderverse cut. Oh, boy.
It was a lot. I personally also thought Mother Box is such a hard concept because, those characters nobody knows anything about. The new gods versus the old gods. Even in the DC universe, and I'm a DC fanatic, I barely know those characters, and I barely Darkseid is the only one I know, and you bring in a bad character, you bring in a character that nobody knows.
Steppenwolf, right?
Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't say nobody. I should say the common person does not know. And I am a DC fanatic, and I didn't even know who this guy was. But let's flip over to Marvel. Their first big team up. Who was it?
The villain? Loki.
Everybody knows who Loki is. Second, who's the second one?
Ultron.
Ultron's much more well known, but not super well known. But he's well known. Third, who's the
Thanos.
third?
Thanos and his heinous anus.
Everybody knows Thanos.
Which, granted, they had to build to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But everybody knew who he was.
At that point, yes.
Even beforehand, if you say who's one of Marvel's big bads, and a Marvel person who reads Marvel would say Thanos. And people who know comics and know superheroes, Thanos is a bad guy. They just know. Wolf and whoever?
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf. I don't even know. I don't know this guy. But New Gods was just, I understand you were trying to set up for Darkseid, which,
cool,
spoiler alert, was one of the post scenes.
Yep.
But you should have just, you should have never went with Darkseid. If that you shouldn't if you weren't going to go with Steppenwolf, you shouldn't have done Darkseid. Darkseid is Thanos. So that needed to be more built. What you should have done is if you were going to rush it, I would have loved to see either Injustice. That would have been great because in that movie. Again, spoiler alert. You know what? It's not even a spoiler alert. You know, it's been out for a couple of years.
Playing Justice.
Yeah. But like having like when they raised Superman from the dead.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect plot to make him evil.
Sure.
And then he just kills what's his face, the guy I don't know.
Joker.
And then
Steppenwolf. Okay, yeah.
And then he is the bad guy. But also I would have loved to see it scrap the whole New Gods thing and it just be Injustice. That would have been really cool. And I think it would have been a better story. I just think Steppenwolf was not a good story.
Sure, I agree. Yeah, Injustice would have been cool. It's just that weird gray area where you're like, well, the game's just told all this. Do we just do the same exact thing? And then people are like, oh, this is just the same thing again. You didn't change anything.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And then for the general audience, it's like, wait, isn't Superman supposed to be a good guy? And you want to sell Superman merch. So it's like, do we commit to that right away as our opening story? But anyways, Snyder rushed a lot of it. Yeah. So obviously that approach, hindsight, didn't work.
2020.
Times, certain things I enjoyed of it. We're not going to talk about Suicide Squad.
I never watched it.
Oh, boy.
I've heard really good things, but I just didn't watch it.
So Suicide Squad 1, it doesn't leave warm feelings in my tummy. I don't think it's as much of a trash heap as people make it.
Yeah.
But it's nothing I would look and search out to watch again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Suicide Squad 2, reboot / we're continuing this awkwardness.
Yeah.
And that was James Gunn. So we could pull this Suicide Squad story together.
They all could be in we could have Margot Robbie in this universe.
Oh, I meant just like his track record. We could use this as evidence of how do we think he's going to do down the road? Because this was James Gunn.
Yeah.
So watching it, it's a lot of characters. And I think he does a good job of juggling a lot of characters. And towards the end, that team, I'd say, does a decent job. However, I don't think anything really memorable came out of it.
I agree.
Except for John Cena.
Yes.
Which they've made a show about, but I haven't seen
2.
it. Which is weird, John, that season 1's not canon in James Gunn's universe, but season 2 is. So it's already a bumpy, rocky road of what's canon? What's not canon? Yeah. What are we doing here?
Well, also Marvel in the early universe, before Blade, with Blade, that also wasn't canon.
That wasn't a cinematic universe either, though.
Yeah.
At that point,
but
we weren't doing this continuous storyline. Everything was separate.
Right.
Blade, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that. You could also argue that is the same thing that's going on here because different people were owning different IPs.
Yeah, true.
But now, finally, what they did in one of the newest movies is they brought and tied all that together, which I was really happy about and
Beetle?
I loved. Huh?
Beetle, they tied it together?
No. Marvel.
Oh, sorry, Marvel. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen the movie.
Things happened. Check out the Deadpool review.
Yes. Oh, okay, then you know. Yeah. So I thought it was great that they did that, and I'm really hoping that James Gunn finds a way to do that. And I'm not saying he's going to do it right off the bat. I'm not going to say he's going to do it right away in any shape or form. And if he does, I would say, hey, it's a little foolish.
You don't need to do that. Or bring everything old. He can start fresh. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's just right now to say, oh, this is in.
That makes it confusing.
It's confusing.
It really, really does. I'm hoping that with somebody who has worked in a successful template can make DC successful, because right now, I mean, I've gone through I started going to school for marketing and for business, and just in a marketing aspect, I see that this is the turn of where it's okay, we're good. It's the turn of okay, it was Marvel on top. Now this is the pivotal moment where DC could come out on top if it's done.
They
correctly.
need a big hitter. Yeah, they need to do it well if they want to.
Yeah, and Flash was not it. Flash
Didn't see that either.
sucked. It was basically Flashpoint from a different vantage point, and I was so like, you got to be shitting me. This is so stupid.
And I want to watch that because I've heard there's a lot of fun moments in it.
So fun.
But yeah, I haven't gotten into it.
I also don't like Ezra Miller.
I liked them, but then they have done, they've messed up IRL. It's like,
I personally don't think they did Barry justice.
No, I liked their interpretation of it. I also liked CW guys. He did fantastic.
Yes, he was just different.
Yeah.
He was a different Barry. Like, personally, I thought Barry was more...
Grant Gustin? Is that his name?
Yes, Grant Gustin. I thought Grant Gustin did the best Barry Allen on TV. He was great. Absolutely loved The Flash on TV. Actor-wise, for the movie, I do think they should have picked somebody other than Ezra Miller. And even for, like, the Justice League, I don't think they... Like, when I heard that they picked Ezra, I was like, no. I'm sorry, no. This is not who I would, like... Because I've seen him in his other roles, and just what I know Barry to be, like, comic-wise, TV-wise, media-wise, he's a jokester. He's like a Spider-Man.
Sure.
He can be serious, and he usually does go serious when he needs to. Sometimes he's the voice of reason, but for the most part, he jokes around, and he's like one of the gift of gab type guys.
He had moments of that, but then he was also the social awkward character. Like, I think in the Snyder Cut, they gave him a little bit more. Well, him, Barry. Him a little bit more of goofiness. Like, remember the dog shop stuff?
Oh, I don't.
Oh, he was applying for jobs.
Right.
I think it was.
Right.
And he goes into this, like, pet grooming thing, and there's crime that happens outside, and everybody's like, oh, and he's like, and like whips around and saves it, and then he's in the dogs, and like, oh, this is great. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that helped a little bit, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it just, I've never seen Barry as awkward. Like, I've seen Barry as confident. Like, yes, unsure of yourself. Everybody's unsure of themselves. But, like, watching Gus's interpretation of him, I never thought Barry was, like, super uber insecure about even talking to a woman. Like, he talked to Iris normally. It's just he didn't know how to tell her he loved her.
Right.
With this person in the movie, Ezra, I felt his interpretation and portrayal, interpretation and portrayal of Barry was not to the accuracy of who I believe Barry is.
I mean, that's part of the actor's portrayal. That's also the direction of the studio and the director there. So, like, the actor can only do so much, but that's fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also it's just Barry's blonde. Sorry.
It has to be blonde.
I'm sorry. I am one of those people. It's like when I heard someone was saying that Michael B. Jordan was going to be Superman, I was going to be like, okay, that sounds kind of fun, but I'm hoping they're not saying that he's the Superman, because that, I'm sorry, canonically, just he's got to be from a different universe.
But also, think about it. It's a different story.
Yeah.
A different take on the story.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
He was Human Torch, too. Human Torch isn't black in the comics.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, if it's from a different universe and having that perspective, 100% I'm okay with it. But
it's a movie, so it could be.
But at that point, I was just like, wait a minute. Like, and this is probably most comic nerds are like, well, no, he's supposed to be this. And it's like, getting over that and then coming to the realization of like, well, he's just from a different universe. Whatever. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. Like, stop moaning about it. But yeah, so, but like with the portrayal of this latest one,
fair.
I had an image, and it did not
didn't match yours.
Okay. Yeah,
that's fair.
I did like the Supergirl that they brought in though. I thought she was a good portrayal.
Oh, and the second, or the Flash's own movie, the Flashpoint movie. Oh,
yeah,
good.
I thought she was a really good one.
Cool.
But I'm very excited for this. I'm hoping because I am a DC nerd at heart, not a Marvel nerd. I love what Marvel has done, and I love how they've set everything up, and kind of like I love competition. So it makes other people have to do better. So right now, Marvel is 100% the bar, and if DC can meet it, they can meet it. If they don't, they don't. But that bar drives you to be better. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping James Gunn does that and exceeds it, or at least meets the criteria.
Yeah, it's definitely potential. It'll just be, we'll have to see how things play out. Like, what's the plan?
Yeah.
Does he try and do too much at once, or?
Yeah, and being like the person in like Kevin Feige the main director for every single one?
Not a director, but he was executive producer.
So
whatever lead mastermind.
Yeah, and that's obviously what James Gunn is doing, correct?
Yes.
So then the next question is like what you were saying, is directors, actors, all falling into place.
Right. Time will tell. So
hoping it's going to be good.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
And then hopefully Marvel can bring in some big name characters soon, like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men.
Well, they are. Well, Fantastic Four are. They have a movie. They're already cast and everything.
Oh, all of those people are 100%?
Yep.
Because a lot of the times I see stuff on Facebook, I'm just like, if
if
I ask Brett's just going to say it's not.
Yeah, no. Fantastic Four is, they've already started production on that.
Who's Johnny?
Johnny is the guy who in Stranger Things who played Eddie. I'm so sorry. Joseph.
Yes.
Quinn?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Pedro Pascal is Mr. Fantastic.
Okay.
I'm so sorry for getting Invisible Woman and the Things actors, but yes, those four are locked and ready to go.
Good. I'm excited for Mr. Quinn because he's a good actor.
Eddie.
That was mine and Rachel's favorite character.
Oh yeah, he kicked ass. Yeah.
I'm so upset because we don't have Netflix and I want to see the newest season of it when it comes out.
You got time.
Yeah.
Just do the month. Or sidebar, sorry to bring it back to wrestling. You know WWE Monday Night Raw.
Yes! I told Rachel, like, we are getting Netflix because I'm watching
Monday Night Raw.
Because it's going to be so different than on USA, and I can't wait.
I pump the brakes. The whole separate topic. I don't know how crazy it's going to be. Because, yes, they could push the envelope. Yes, because it's Netflix. But still, it's going to be a PG product.
No,
you can't,
I doubt it.
John, you can't have it so different from SmackDown. And then, it's the Royal Rumble. Oh, Roman Reigns is being good to kids. And then Seth fucking Rollins. You can't just drop that, mixture? Well, Timmy's like, what?
I feel they are moving a little bit away.
It will push, they're already pushing the buttons a little bit. They'll push it a little farther. But I think people are like, it's going to be awesome.
I mean, they're talking about, like, with, like, Muscle Mommy and everything. Getting off topic. But they're talking about, like, with Rhea Mommy and Dom and, like, like, it's borderline, like, you guys are talking about softcore porn over here a little bit.
It's catering to many audiences.
Yes. But, yes, I am very, very excited for the sheer fact of they can get a lot. The possibilities of them getting away with a lot of stuff is going to be really funny to watch, and there's going to be a lot of funny moments. I'm just glad that Vince is not involved in it, and it is all Triple H. Very excited for that.
Thank God.
Yeah, agree.
We'll talk about that doc next week. Oh, God. Well, everybody, this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Brett, a.k.a. Enigma911, and today, once again, I was joined by John. John, thanks for hopping on the podcast for our 3 great topics today and side tangents.
No problem.
If you guys want to catch the podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma911. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so join in the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, like, shares, reviews, whatever it is. It may seem small, but it does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do it, we would love and appreciate you for it. John, thanks for being on again. I appreciate it.
No problem.
We'll have you on soon when Billy's not slacking. No, he's working hard. And yeah, Extra Life right around the corner. So keep an eye on things.
Wait, what were we talking
What?
about?
I don't know. Classic. Episode 1. Go back and watch that. Everybody, thanks for giving this a watch, giving it a listen, and we will see you guys on the next one. Take care.